I want to go on the phone now. We've got former Representative Pete Hoekstra, also a former House Intelligence Committee chairman. Thanks for taking the time to call into the show.
Sure.
Representative Hoekstra, you've got the Democrats coming out in force. Senator Tim Kaine tweeting, Comey firing recommended by Sessions. I thought he had recused himself from Russian investigation. Also saying how frightened the administration is over the investigation. Rich Blumenthal calling for a special independent investigator. Dick Durbin saying perhaps this had something to do with the Russian investigation, and saying and putting out there publicly that they hope that this investigation between possible collusion with Donald Trump's campaign and Donald Trump's businesses in Russia is not interfered with or stopped. What are your thoughts?
Well, the interesting thing is, after the hearings yesterday, all the discussions, all the work that's been done, the stuff that came out of the intelligence community last year consistently says there's no evidence of any collusion at all. You would think that the Democrats would applaud this because of what James Comey did last year on July 5, where he gave this rambling press conference that made absolutely no sense. When he interjected himself back into the election, 10 days before the election on October 28th, the testimony that he gave last week that was confusing. The problem here is you have the director of the FBI became the story and part of the story rather than the law enforcement arbiter that he should have been. It was time for a change. Like your previous guest said, many of us thought it would happen immediately when Donald Trump came into office, but it's happened now and it's appropriate.
Within the umbrella of the Department of Justice, should there be a different sort of protocol? In other words, you have an attorney general who's the boss, but in this particular case, James Comey decided that he could do what he wanted to do. I don't know. I guess Loretta Lynch gave him the green light to do that, but should there be greater controls and sort of a greater chain of command so that you don't get this sort of cowboy mentality here where you've got the FBI director interpreting constitutional law?
No, that's exactly right. A law enforcement officer is responsible for one thing. That is to determine the facts, nothing but the facts. They then present it to prosecutors, professionals in that area, who then make the decision as to what the call is going to be, whether there was a crime that's committed, whether there's sufficient evidence to prosecute for that crime. And, yeah, James Comey has demonstrated over the last year that he believes he can do all of those things. That's not his job. He's overstepped the bounds of his authority, and it's now come back, and he's now being held accountable. You cannot have people running rogue in the Department of Justice or at the FBI.